Welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be doing a vinyl update video. I think we're on vinyl update 40 now. So yeah, just like the usual thing in this video, all of like the records which I've purchased over the last month or so, plus at the end of this video there'll be a special unboxing like of an item which I received from a very good friend, vinyl collector James, like from America, which I will do a live opening of at the end. But first, before I show like any records, and I just wanted to quickly mention a concert which I went to a good couple of weeks ago now. It's a show called the Style Councillors, and they're basically as like you can probably tell, a tribute to the Style Council. Saw them at a wee club in Edinburgh, and they were absolutely fantastic. Like I would thoroughly like recommend them. Like if like you are a fan like of like the Style Council. We've done the whole of the Our Favourite Shop album, which was fantastic to hear. Like it's one of like my favourite records which Paul Weller like has ever made. Like actually, so hearing that like live like all the way through was fantastic. And then they done like about like another like hour or so like of Style Council hits. So yeah, it was a fantastic show. I've got a little bit of footage now like from the concert. I need you more each day. No one knows why that day goes that way. Now it's far too late. I've lost this time, like a boy who cried. Like a boy who cried. Actually, I'm falling so fast, I can't seem to find all the reasons I've had. The purpose was mine. I stumbled so fast, falling into the night. So if I land and I'm broken in two, get me on the right track for my dreams and tattoo. Getting lost in this place, really on the right place for me. Yeah, it happened to come by. Got me feeling almost useless. yeah, that was a bit of footage there from the Style Counsellors show which I was at recently, so yeah, thoroughly recommended. But anyway, on to the actual vinyl update now. Firstly, to kick off with, I've got a few 7-inch singles. A lot of like these records which I'm going to show come from when I was in Manchester, like over Easter, and these 3 were from a shop in Cholton, which like I looked through like the records, the actual albums. They didn't have too many which I wanted. Like I did pick up 2 which I'll get to, but I actually got some 7-inch singles from this place, and to be honest with you, they were actually like, I was more impressed with their singles variety, because firstly they were all pretty cheap, like quite reasonably priced, and like they also had like some sort of like quite rare stuff as well. It's like Smith singles, Stone Roses ones like Oasis, like all for about like under like a tenner, which is quite good, like considering like some of those like are pretty rare. Unfortunately, like didn't get like any of those. I can't really justify like paying more than say a £5 like for a 7-inch single. But like I did get 3 like from the shop though. First one is ELO, Rock and Roll is King here. This was only £1. Reason why I got this is kind of for the B-side, which is so called After All, which isn't on like any ELO album. So if like you want to sort of be truly complete like on the ELO like of everything, you need to get this single for the song After All. It isn't much like of a song though, but it is like still like alright to have this, like only at £1. Next one I got purely based on the cover here, and this was £2, but like also for like kind of like collectability like off it. It's Elvis Costello's Allison single here, and I love this picture of him. I just think it's such a cool like photo, like Johnny Marr would kind of like replicate it, sort of parody it, like on like his like Easy Money like single. Yeah, there's a great cover there. There's the back of it there, a bit random, not too sure like who that girl is, mind you. But yeah, fantastic songs here. Alison back to Welcome to the Working Week. So both songs are from My Aim Is True. There's no exclusive B-sides, but this is also the original issue here, like on Stiff Records. So this isn't so this like isn't like too like commonplace, this one here, because it was like the original issue. Wasn't a big selling single like Allison. I think it failed to chart. So yeah, like this is just a nice one like for like the collection, I think. And then the last single is this Jam's last EP release, Beat Surrender here. Now this is a double 7-inch single, so it's sort of like there's a gatefold design, what looks like so, and then on the first record, which comes out this side, you've got Beat Surrender on it, backed with song Shopping, which is a nice B-side, quite an underrated song there. And then the other single is a collection of soul covers, so you get Move On Up on one side, and then Stoned Out of My Mind and War on the other side. So this was the final thing the Jam like ever put out here, so this is great to own here, the Beat Surrender EP. Okay, now moving on to the LPs. These first 4 were bought from a place called X Records in Bolton. So first one is Tears for Fears, Songs from the Big Chair. Now in my last vinyl update I showed the album what they made like in the band before Tears for Fears, which is a group called Graduate, and like I said, like it's pretty like absurd like how I've got that like quite obscure record before I've got one of like their undisputed classics, but I have finally rectified that here. This is just a nice copy of it here, like there's nothing too special about this one here, just on a standard black vinyl. You've got the original like in the sleeve, and it's on the Mercury Records label, this here. I really like this record. I didn't think it was quite as good as The Hurting, and it was probably, I'd say, better than the last one, Sowing the Seeds of Love. Like, I think Tears for Fears, they started off amazingly, like, with The Hurting. Like, they could never really top that album, and, like, gradually, like, as, like, the 80s went on, like, the quality did start to go down somewhat. But here, this is still a really, really solid album. You've got some classic tracks like Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Head of Heels, Mother's Talk, Shout. So yeah, there's some fantastic stuff on this album. Next one was £1, which is a great price for this. It's the Pretenders album, Learning to Crawl. This is their second album, I believe, from 1983 this one came out here, so the lineup had considerably changed by this point, because I think at least 2 or 3 members like had died like since like the debut record. Mostly got this one for the single which I do, Back on the Chain Gang, but there's also a load of other fantastic like rocking tunes on this record, you know, just like Middle of the Road, Show Me, 2,000 Miles, like, it's a song which I knew actually, I didn't think I knew it, but it's a kind of, like I always associated that song with Christmas actually, but it does work well, like, on this record. Nice label design as well. I'm not sure what label this is on, mind you. I think it's just the original UK issue of Learning to Crawl, which is a great buy, like, for £1, I thought. Okay, now the next album is from an absolutely classic band. Like, everyone knows this group, but I'm not a big fan of this particular record. I've got two of the other albums which I did quite like. I did think they were slightly, like, overrated, but I thought that I would still try and, like, persevere, like, with this band. But since I got this record, I'm kind of thinking I might not bother getting some of their other albums. It's Led Zeppelin 2 here, which you could be saying, what? I can hear, like, you're sort of screaming, like, down, like, your, like, YouTube screens now. But I did not like this record. Really, I just thought it was quite loud, just noisy. It didn't really like Robert Plant singing on it particularly. I mean, the musicianship was good, but it's just not really my thing personally. I had to actually skip one of the songs that go on, like, the second side. Was it Ramble On or Moby Dick? Like, one of the ones with that sort of big drum solo in it. Just wasn't my thing. This is a I think this is a later 70s issue. This only cost me £9, so I didn't pay like an arm like a leg for it. Just on the Atlantic label here, but honestly, not a massive fan, like, of this album. Unfortunately, I mean, like, I wanted to like it. I mean, it is an incredibly well-loved record, a very highly regarded album, but just not for me. Like, it might grow on me, but right now, can't say, like, I'm, like, a massive fan of Led Zeppelin 2. And then the next one, I quite literally couldn't believe my eyes, like, when I'd seen this one, like, in, like, the shop. Like, then I'd seen the price, and, like, I was even more, like, excited about it. I'll just show it now. I mean, it's the Walker Brothers album Night Flights, and you see the price there left on it? £3.99. I mean, it was, like, unthinkable, like, actually finding this, but then finding it for that price. Now, there is a catch, I will say. You see the corner there, it is quite badly worn off. There's obviously some quite severe water damage on it, and it is far from anywhere near, like, good enough condition. But, you know, this is an album which is incredibly rare. Like, original copies such as what this is, if they're in goodish condition, go for about £50 plus. So I think they, even despite that, severely, like, undervalued, like, the record here. And the actual album plays really well. And I mean, I wasn't going to pay too much for this record because you only really buy this album for kind of Scott Walker's 4 songs, like, on here, because he was, like, the main songwriter, like, in, like, the Walker Brothers. You get like, other contributions from, like, the other 2, but they're not quite up to the same level, like, as Scott Walker's ones, because his songs on here, which is Shut Out, what's that, Fat Mama Kicks, which is a bit of a strange title there, Night Flights, and The Electrician. They're all wonderful songs. They're quite different and sort of new wavy. It's not sort of typical, like, Walker Brothers sort of close harmonies, sort of 60s pop songs. This is quite a different record for them, and it's one which I'm very glad I found. If it will go back in again, that is. I'll sort it out later, but yeah, absolutely thrilled to get a copy of Night Flights for such a wonderful, like, low price there. Next, 2 are from a different shop here. Like, I was quite lucky to, like, actually find these 2. I think these would have come in, like, from, like, the same person that's sort of, like, giving them, like, to, like, the shop, like, sort of, like, selling them, like, to the shop, because they are well, they're both sort of mid-70s Kinks records. They've got Percy and Soap Opera here. And these, again, you don't see these all that often. And these are, again, quite reasonably priced, £8 each for each of these. So there's Percy. And, I mean, I will admit, these are far from the Kinks' best work. Percy, I don't think, like, I'll ever play again, to be honest with you. I didn't think it was all that brilliant. This is on Pie Records here, but I think it's a slightly later reissue. It's not the original from 1970. Sorry for the glare coming in. It is quite a sunny day, like, in Scotland, actually, today. So, yeah, like, the lighting's maybe not the best for this sort of video. But, hey, there's a Percy by the Kinks. And the other one was Soap Opera, which you've seen. And I actually thought this wasn't as bad, like, as people made it out to be. I mean, it was a bit clunky, you know, like, in places, but I thought it was quite a fun record. I mean, I mean, some of the songs are actually not too bad. I can't quite pick out highlights here because I only played it once, but like I remember listening to it thinking, actually, this isn't awful like I was kind of expecting it to be, considering it's a mid-70s Kinks album. But again, it is just one for the collection. I mean, I absolutely adore their 60s stuff, so it is like the order group like which I am sort of collecting. And as far as I know, this is the original issue from 1975 on the RCA Victor label there. So that's the Kinks present a soap opera there. The next couple out are from a few shops in Manchester city centre. First one is quite an apt one, like one of Manchester's greatest songs, Morrissey here. This is a 12-inch single to his song Piccadilly Polare. And this was, again, only £3, and like anything like Morrissey's name, like, or like association, like that sort of money, you just got to pick it up because you rarely see it. Once again, this isn't in amazing condition. There was quite a big sticker there, but I have managed to get it off. Like, it doesn't look too badly, and the condition isn't too bad like on here either. There's the label there, just a nice sort of 12-inch single. On the B-side, you get a song called At Amber, which is pretty good, like I like that one, and then Get Off the Stage, which is a bit of a throwaway song, but you'll notice it was co-written by Andy Rourke, like the former bass player like from the Smiths, so I think like they were actually working together, like Rourke and Morrissey, like round about this time. This is from 1990, so again from the early part of Gothica's solo career. Really great song, Piccadilly Polare, very nice to get it on 12-inch single. Another 12-inch I found was this one here, XTC's The Mayor of Simpleton. Now, again, XTC, whenever you see like anything from them, again like The Wild, like you just got to pick it up because you rarely see these things, and like I probably never come across this again. Also, you'll notice this was actually sealed as well. Like I have cut it like at like the top to actually get into the record because I really wanted to play it, but it was a sort of sealed copy from 1989. So that's what it looks like there. There's nothing too fancy with like the sleeves or anything, but it is a completely mint copy, like on Geffen Records, like of Mayor of Simpleton from the Oranges and Lemons album, what they made. So yeah, another really great purchase here. Next one also got from a Manchester city centre record shop. It's Scott Walker, his classic album Scott 4 here. One I've been meaning to pick up like for like a wee while now, but it's actually quite expensive, like on like Amazon, like this like reissue of it. Like they only wanted about £17 for it, like in like this like record shop. So I just thought that I would bite the bullet and get it, and it is, I would say, like his finest album. These are all like self-written songs, like unlike most of his other work. This is just a nice like reissue of it here. Some of the highlights like on here are Boy Child, The Old Man's Back Again, Get Behind Me is also a really great tune as well. So just a nice reissue copy of Scott 4 from 1969. This one came out. Now the last one from Manchester, from the same shop like as like those ones, is this one here, David Bowie Images here. Now again, this was another absolute bargain, only £6 for this, which again for anything Bowie related, like certainly like since his passing, like is like an absolute steal. And this is also a double record set as well. Now, if like you don't know what this contains, this is basically like I mean like the cover would suggest like Young Americans era stuff, but oh no, what you get is early material, so sort of pre-Space Oddity stuff like from like the late 60s. Now, I mean, I will say that's not Bowie's finest material, but I mean to get it like on like a double record set, like you've double record set here for £6, like you can't really like argue with that. Like again, it is just for the collection, and there are some good tunes on here. Like you do get like The Laughing Gnome, Love You Till Tuesday, Rubber Band, Silly Boy Blue. So there are some of like his actually quite sort of fairly popular like fan favourite sort of solo solo like early sort of Bowie singles, like what he was putting out, and like on like. And like I knew that like they have actually reissued like the sort of official debut self-titled record, but that has at least half like the material like what you get on here, like for like at least double the price. So this was a nice purchase here. Like although I might not play it like every day, it is just a nice one. A nice one like for the collection on the DRAM Records label there. So that's David Bowie Images here. Okay, now the last few before we get on to James's package are from the last time I went into Edinburgh a couple of, about a week ago now. I had to spare like afternoon. This was just after Record Store Day, like as well. So like I didn't get to go to Record Store Day, like so I have got a couple of things that I was able to pick up like a few days after Record Store Day. First few things are from one of my favourite shops in Edinburgh, Unknown Pleasures, which is on Canongate. First, so it's 4 records here I got from them. First one is Elvis Costello, 12-inch single to the song I'm Your Toy. This is from the Almost Blue era, but I think this is a live recording at the Royal Albert Hall. I haven't played this, I have to like admit, but again, it is one which I see quite a bit, and like it was only £2, so I just thought why not pick it up. The record label is on his F-Beat Records there. So that's just what it looks like. That's just a sort of standard 12-inch single here. Next one was another sort of cheap buy here. It's a Big Country album, The Crossing here. Now, I really love the song like In a Big Country, like what they've done, and luckily enough, this album has it on, and like I just so happened to see it, so I thought, why not pick it up? From 1983, this one came out. Also noticed produced by Steve Lillywhite. Like he produced XTC's work around this time, U2, and Peter Gabriel's Melt record as well. So fantastic record producer. So like I kind of like when I'd seen like his name, like I knew that I would generally like this album, and like I really do. I mean, opens up with like In a Big Country. I really like the last song as well. Poroa Man, I think that's how like you say it, and Peels of Fire. Fantastic stuff like audio. I mean, this isn't in the best condition. There's a few wee light stains like on like the inner sleeve, but nothing really to worry about. And it's just on this sort of custom Big Country label. So great Scottish band like from Dunfermline, and like quite a sort of tragic story like as well, like what happened to like the lead singer Stuart Adamson, I think his name was. He took his own life in I think 2003 or something. So yeah, like quite a sad end for him. But he made some great music, and this is yeah, one of his best albums, The Crossing. Another group who I've kind of been collecting like over the last few months, like at like quite a sort of casual rate, and like it always tends to be like out at this shop, like Unknown Pleasures, like where like I see their stuff for quite like reasonable prices. It's Echo and the Bunnymen, and I got this record, which is their 5th album, self-titled record, for I think £8 this was, so again quite reasonable price for it here. This, I mean, it isn't the greatest record this, but there are still some pretty good tracks in here. It's got like Hype Sticker there for the game. Also, Lips Like Sugar's probably the most popular song, Bedbugs and Ballyhoo, and like yeah, there are some good tracks in here. My only complaint, I wish they put Bring On The Dancing Horses like onto this album. That was a single from 1986, and like I mean, it would have like made this album like a lot better, like would have like enhanced it like quite a lot. And this is in lovely condition as well, and the label just looks like so. But this is a German pressing, like off it. So yeah, that's Echo and the Bunnymen's self-titled album. Okay, now the next one is a double live album set by Talking Heads. It's called, the name of this band is Talking Heads. Now, yeah, the double live set here, but it's not kind of one concert. It's kind of like a compilation, like of various like live recordings, like from like their sort of pre-fame days, like up to like the Remaining Light sort of sessions. And again, very reasonably priced records here. You just get like printed like in the sleeves. And the labels, I think they're both the same, they're both on Sire Records, so I'll just show the one of them here, but that's what it looks like. Lovely condition, that once again, so yeah, very glad to get this one. Okay, so the next two are both Record Store Day items, like, but like as I said, like I went out like a few days like after Record Store Day, because unfortunately like I work like on Saturdays, so like I couldn't like actually like go along like on like the day this year. But luckily enough, like the two shops like which I went to both had like between them like the two things like which I was kind of like wanting. So first one is Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds, It's a Beautiful World. On this you get various remixes, and they're actually not bad remixes like off like the song, I have to say. Like they're quite different sort of versions, like a bit more sort of like dancey sort of club kind of style mixes, but that's fine by me. Like I think like his new material like is sort of suited like to that sort of treatment, and this is on a nice sort of coloured vinyl vinyl, black and white sort of deal here. So yeah, like this was a nice purchase here. And then the other one I wanted to get was Tim Burgess put out an album, Tim Burgess from the Charlatans. This is called As I Was Now. Now this was actually recorded in 2008, so it's taken him like a while to actually get around to issuing these recordings, and they're actually very good songs like audio. I really liked it. Was the last song on side 1 called Inspired Again, and the opening 2 on side 2 called Another Version of the Truth and Not Buying. Those are all fantastic songs, and I'd say that if you liked the last Charlatans record, you'll like this album just as much. This is on blue vinyl as well, just to add. So this is another nice record store day. It was a pretty fantastic list this year, I have to say. Just unfortunate that like I didn't have the chance to go along, but that's where Vinyl Collector James's package like came in. So yeah, that's that for now. And then just today in HMV, I had some store credit, so I thought that I would treat myself to something. So I picked up this, which is Pulp's record, Different Class. Pulp, fantastic Britpop band, and I'll just do a live opening of this as well, since I only just got it today. This is probably the classic record, like one which most people would go to and know. I'll just take the shrink wrap off this, because I'm kind of like falling out of favour with sort of keeping things like on shrink wrap personally. So that's it off there, and here is the record here. And there's a track listing, and you get some amazing songs in here. Common People's on this record, Disco 2000, Underwear, Sorted for Ease and Wiz. It's a wonderful record. Here's the inner sleeve. Now, I believe original copies came with multiple like sort of inserts and like a kind of die cut thing, so you could sort of make like your own cover. Unfortunately, they haven't recreated that like with like this reissue, but like if I'm sure they did, they would be charging like double the price for it, I'm sure. And then the label, quite basic label there, just says Pulp Different Class, but I am looking forward to playing this record here. Like it is one which I've kind of wanted for like a little while now, like never really seen it for like a reasonable price, but just since I had some store credit like in HMV, I thought that I would treat myself to it. And then so to finish off this video, I've got the package from Vinyl Collector James. Now, I've got an idea of what two of the things are like in here. Like he helped me out with a few record store day things, which I wasn't 100% sure like if I would actually be able to get like on the day. And James has said that there's another surprise album in here. So we'll just see what's what like when like we actually get into it here. He's packaged it up very, very well, I have to say. So thank you, James. Okay, now I'm not actually sure like how far like that got, because my phone like there's sort of I've got sort of storage issues. I've got sort of too much sort of videos sort of like backlog like saved on it. So, like a wee message came up saying that like I had to stop filming, so like I'm not sure like how far like I got like opening it, but I've just got into the record here, and the first one on top is the Surpriselon, which is another Depeche Mode record. James has been trying quite a lot to get me like into Depeche Mode, and I mean I do really like their work. Like he gave me the last one, which was Music for the Masses. This is Songs of Faith and Devotion, so thanks James for this. I won't open this right now because of like my storage like issue here, but very much a big thank you to James for getting me this. The other two things look out there, the record store day items which I was after. Next one, first one, so is a 7-inch single, which is it's Elvis Costello covering Squeeze, doing the song Someone Else's Heart. So with this, it looks like it was actually already opened here. It's on Yep Rock Records here, and like you can tell like it's American, got like the wee gap in the middle. So and then you also get the download code with it in here as well. Oh, I showed that. Didn't mean to do that, but hey, if like you want to download a free copy of this, you're more than welcome to. Elvis Costello, and features the band Questlove on this, doing a Squeeze song, Someone Else's Heart, from the East Side Story album. And then the main one which I wanted was this, which is the Rolling Stones and Their Satanic Majesty's Request. Now I'm gonna definitely open this here. This looks like it's a gatefold, and yeah, I mean this isn't one of the Stones' best records. Like it isn't regarded like as so, but I actually thought that their psychedelic stuff, like which this is, was quite interesting. Like there's some good tracks in here. I'm just trying to open this up a bit better here. Right, there we go. And this is a really nice reissue, like what they've done for Record Store Day. Unlike other reissues I've seen, it actually restores like the 3D cover, which is pretty awesome. You may remember actually that I was when I was record shopping with James Lack, like in like London, like I actually picked up like a original copy of this, and like one like with like the thing, and like I said to him, nah, like I don't really like want it, so he took it, and like for like quite a few months like afterwards, like I was quite jealous actually, but I'm very glad that I finally got this one here. Like it's a fantastic reissue of it. There's the inside of it there, and the label, well, there's the inner bag there, just more psychedelic goodness. And this is on a, this is nice, a lovely sort of splatter label. Like this is why I love Record Store Day. You just get these very beautiful like vinyl pressings. So yeah, this is Rolling Stones, Their Satanic Majesty's Request. So yeah, so hope you have enjoyed this vinyl update. I hope the editing like hasn't been like too clunky for this video. I hope you have enjoyed. And I will see you all next time for the next video. Goodbye.